When someone says, "So what do you do?" does your brain quietly shut down? You're standing at a networking event, plastic cup in hand, someone smiles, your chest tightens, your mind stalls. You look for an exit. That moment isn't awkwardness, it's a wiring mismatch. And tonight you'll understand why small talk drains you and how to stop blaming yourself. Here's the blunt truth: you don't hate people, you hate shallow bandwidth. In the next few minutes you'll see the psychological and biological evidence that small talk exhaustion isn't a defect, it's a design mismatch. More importantly, you'll leave with one identity shift that can change your social energy starting tonight. You don't lack charisma, you lack cognitive nutrition. The real question isn't whether small talk drains you. It's whether you're willing to stop calling yourself awkward and start designing your social life with intention. Let's make this concrete. Daniel is a 34-year-old project manager. Before corporate mixers, he would rehearse lines in the elevator. "How was your weekend? Crazy weather lately?" The moment someone asked, "So, what do you do?" his throat tightened. For years, Daniel tried to fix himself. Charisma tutorials, memorized openers, forcing eye contact a second longer than felt natural. None of it worked. He wasn't connecting. He was performing. Performance is exhausting. On the drive home, the self-criticism started. Why can't you just be normal? Why does this feel so hard? The turning point wasn't a new tactic, it was an identity decision. After one draining event, standing in a circle, discussing vacation plans he didn't care about, he sat in his car and reframed the problem. Maybe he wasn't bad at socializing. Maybe he was misallocating energy. He stopped trying to be broadly social. He chose to be selectively social. That shift sounds subtle. It isn't. Identity drives behavior. If you label yourself awkward, your brain shifts into protection mode. You scan for threat. You speak less. You leave early. Keep that label for 5 years, and your network shrinks to people who tolerate you, not people who understand you. Daniel learned about something psychologists call need for cognition. In simple terms, some brains enjoy thinking hard. They like analyzing ideas, exploring nuance, questioning assumptions. It's not about higher intelligence or superiority. It's about preference. If that's you, shallow conversation feels like being served air when you're hungry. From here on, remember this. High NFC means your brain wants substance. Daniel made one rule. Within the first 3 minutes of any event, ask one question that goes a layer deeper. Not therapy, level vulnerability. Just a pivot. What's been the hardest part of that project? What do people misunderstand about your work? The first time he tried it, his heart pounded. The other person leaned in, their tone shifted. The conversation lasted 25 minutes. For the first time in years, he left energized instead of ashamed. Now consider the research. In a 4-day study of 79 people, researchers recorded real conversations. The happiest participants had significantly more deep conversations and significantly less small talk. The data matched what Daniel felt. Here's the fork in the road: protection or connection. If you see your behavior as a defect, you protect. If you see it as design, you optimize. One principle matters so far: depth increases energy for high NFC brains. Now look under the hood. Picture 2 co-workers at lunch. One can chat about traffic, sports scores, office gossip for 40 minutes. The other smiles politely but feels restless, like their brain is idling at 5%. By the end, one feels socially satisfied. The other feels depleted. Why? Think of your brain like a laptop with 8 gigabytes of RAM. Small talk opens 15 low-priority tabs. Weather, traffic, weekend plans. Then you try to run a heavy program. Real thinking. It lags. That's cognitive load. High-depth default leads to higher cognitive load, which leads to faster fatigue, which gets misread as awkwardness. Same social setting. Different internal bandwidth cost. Society often equates social skill with the ability to talk about anything with anyone. When you don't enjoy that, you assume something is wrong, but skill and preference are different. There are executives who can dominate a cocktail party and still go home exhausted, wanting one deep, undistracted conversation. Competence does not equal nourishment. On average, some introverts show thicker grey matter in the prefrontal cortex, an area linked to planning and complex processing. This is an association with deeper processing, not superiority or destiny. Different wiring, different defaults. Biology informs strategy. It does not justify withdrawal. There are 3 common processor patterns. Group 1, depth, cravers. You light up when someone says, "Can I run an idea by you?" An abstract question energizes you more than 10 weather updates. Group 2, cognitive, overload processors. You enjoy people, but after 30 minutes of scattered topics, you feel mentally fried, like too many tabs open at once. Group 3, authenticity protectors. You struggle to say, "I'm good" when you're not. Scripts feel fake, and that friction makes you pull back. Before you label yourself Group 1, 2, or 3, pause. There's another possibility. Are you avoiding small talk because you want depth, or because depth scares you? Some people say they crave depth, but rarely initiate it. That points to fear, not preference. Avoidance reduces short-term anxiety, but shrinks long-term identity. Here's your experiment this week. Depth. Cravers. Ask one meaning-based question daily. Overload processors. Limit yourself to 2 core topics per event. Authenticity protectors. Replace scripted openers with honest curiosity. What's been on your mind lately? Clarity removes shame. Action builds identity. Return to the research. In Matthias Mehil's study, 79 participants wore recording devices for 4 days. Conversations were categorized as small talk or substantive. The happiest individuals engaged in significantly more deep conversations and significantly less small talk. Notice what the data does not say. It does not say eliminate small talk. It says proportion matters. Remember this rule: small talk is a gateway, not a destination. Think of it like handshake code before data transfer. You don't skip the handshake. After 2 exchanges, pivot gently. How did you get into that? What surprised you most about that experience? Static becomes signal. Depth predicts well-being, but only if you move through the gateway. Now make this practical. Selective social identity requires systems. Instead of generic networking events, Daniel joined a monthly design roundtable. Same time commitment, completely different energy. 1 aligned room replaced 5 draining ones. He also signaled depth in small ways, bringing up a book he was reading, asking thoughtful follow-ups, referencing ideas instead of headlines. The people who resonated stayed. The rest drifted. He protected recovery windows. After a high-engagement event, he blocked an hour alone. Not avoidance, maintenance. If you say you value depth but stay only in mismatched environments, you create chronic frustration. Identity plus environment equals behavioral consistency. For the next month, allocate roughly 30–40% of your social time to aligned spaces and track your energy. Measure alignment between wiring and environment. Map your weekly social hours. Adjust. Observe 6 months later, Daniel wasn't speaking more. He was speaking with precision. Fewer conversations. Longer ones. He stopped leaving rooms early, not because he forced himself to endure them, but because he filtered them. He no longer measured success by how long he survived. He measured it by whether he initiated one real exchange. That's the shift. You don't need more words. You need more alignment. Here's the identity shift. Stop optimizing for volume. Start optimizing for depth. When you optimize for volume, success is how many interactions you survive. When you optimize for depth, success is how many meaningful exchanges you initiate. Small talk isn't the enemy. Staying on the surface is. Return to the fork in the road. Are you selectively social or selectively avoidant? If you never risk small talk, you may never reach depth. If you live only in small talk, you starve meaning. The decision is simple. Initiate depth at least once per meaningful interaction opportunity. Not perfectly, not dramatically, consistently. Your identity becomes what you practice. Design your conversations the way you design your career, with intention. Should high NFC processors adapt to social norms? Or should social norms expand to accommodate depth? Comment with your processor group, 1, 2, or 3, and defend your position. Growth isn't about comfort, it's about conscious design. Once you see your social behavior as architecture, you stop blaming personality and start building connection.